Welcome back to Apex Sci-Fi. Today we explore the biology of the red haze, and why you should never try to torture a species that can turn its own pain into fuel. In the wider galaxy, most intelligent species share a common biological trait. They are sensible. They possess nervous systems designed to preserve life by avoiding damage at all costs. To these species, pain is not just a warning, it is a hard stop. The Neuralis Hegemony built their entire empire on this fundamental truth. They did not use crude bullets that destroyed infrastructure, nor did they use messy explosives. They used synaptic overload projectors. These weapons, often called agony beams, were the pinnacle of clean warfare. They did not cause physical tissue damage. Instead, they bypassed the skin and muscle to strike directly at the synaptic pathways. A single hit would flood the target's brain with the sensation of being burned alive, crushed, and electrocuted all at once. It was a sensory apocalypse. No living thing, the Neuralis believed, could maintain its will when its own brain was screaming that it was being destroyed. Against every other species they had encountered, a single volley of agony beams ended the war. The enemy would simply collapse in a fetal ball, their minds shattered by the sheer volume of the pain signal. When the Neuralis landed on the frontier colony of Venor, they expected the human garrison to surrender the moment the first beam was fired. They saw the humans, creatures of soft flesh and exposed nerves, and felt a sense of pity. High Inquisitor Xylas watched from his hovering command throne as his elite synaptic dragoons moved into the human trenches. Give them the minimum dosage, Xylas commanded. Let them feel the fire, and they will realize that resistance is a biological impossibility. Pain is the ultimate master. Xylas was a master of neurology, but he was a total amateur when it came to the endocrine system of Terra. He did not understand that humans possess a biological emergency override that can effectively disconnect the brain from the body's warning signals. The battle began with a blinding flash of white light as the Neuralis fired their projectors. The beams hit the human front lines, washing over a squad of the 7th Colonial Rangers. Xylas waited for the humans to fall. He waited for the screaming and the total collapse of their formation. Instead, he heard a sound that chilled his multiple hearts. He heard a low, guttural roar. Captain Sarah "Numb" Jenkins was at the center of the impact. When the agony beam hit her, her nervous system did exactly what it was designed to do. It sent a catastrophic warning to her brain. For a millisecond, she felt the sensation of 1,000 knives plunging into her chest. But Sarah was a human in a life-or-death struggle. Her brain saw the massive pain signal and, instead of shutting down, it triggered the adrenal gland. A massive surge of epinephrine and norepinephrine flooded her bloodstream. Her heart rate tripled, her pupils dilated to the size of coins, and her liver dumped a massive load of glucose into her system. In that instant, her brain performed a brutal cost-benefit analysis. The pain was fake, the enemy in front of her was real. The adrenaline acted like a biological circuit breaker, suppressing the pain signals to a dull, distant throb and replacing them with a singular, hyper-focused urge: destroy the source. They're tickling us. Jenkins roared, her voice sounding like a predator's growl over the comms. Rangers, on me. If it doesn't leave a hole, it doesn't count. Charge. The Neuralis soldiers stood in stunned silence as the humans, instead of collapsing, surged out of the trenches. They were moving faster than the alien sensors could track, their bodies pushed to their absolute physical limits by the chemical cocktail in their veins. Increased to maximum intensity. Xylas shrieked, his spindly fingers trembling on the controls. They are mammals. They have nerves. Why are they still moving? Maximize the agony. The white beams intensified until the air itself crackled with static. The humans were now walking through a storm of neural energy that should have been enough to incapacitate an elephant. Their skin was flushed a deep, angry red. Their muscles were twitching uncontrollably from the electrical interference. But they did not stop. They moved like ghosts in a fever dream, their faces twisted into masks of pure, unadulterated rage. This was the red haze. For a human in this state, pain is no longer a deterrent. It is an irritant that triggers more aggression. Every hit from the agony beam caused another spike of adrenaline, another surge of endorphins, pushing the humans further into a state of functional shock. They were effectively dead to the world, operating on a level of pure instinct and chemical-driven violence. Sarah Jenkins reached the first line of synaptic dragoons. An alien soldier fired his projector point-blank into her chest. The white light was so bright it illuminated her skeleton through her skin. Jenkins didn't even blink. She reached out with a hand that was shaking with tremors and grabbed the alien's slender neck. She gasped, her breath coming in ragged, heated bursts. You really shouldn't have done that. With a single effortless snap fueled by hysterical strength, she broke the alien's neck and tossed the body aside. Behind her, the rest of the Rangers were overrunning the Neuralis positions. It wasn't a tactical battle, it was a slaughter. The aliens, who relied entirely on their perfect weapons to stop enemies, had no plan for an enemy that simply refused to feel the pain. The Neuralis tried to retreat, but the humans were like bloodhounds. They tracked the aliens through the jungle, ignoring thorns, ignoring heat, and ignoring the minor wounds they sustained during the fight. One human soldier was found later with a jagged piece of shrapnel in his leg. He hadn't even realized he was injured until the adrenaline finally wore off and he collapsed from blood loss. Inside his command spire, Xylas watched the final collapse of his forces. The humans were at the gates. He could see them through the security feeds, bloody, bruised, and glowing with the residual energy of the agony beams. They looked like demons emerging from a furnace. "It is a biological error," Xylas whispered as he prepared his escape pod. "They are not brave. They are simply broken. They have a defect that allows them to ignore the fundamental law of life, the avoidance of suffering. How can you defeat a species that treats a neural apocalypse as a minor annoyance?" He was wrong. It wasn't a defect. It was an adaptation. On Earth, the species that stopped because it hurt was the species that got eaten. Humans are the descendants of the ones who kept running on a broken ankle, the ones who kept fighting with a spear in their side, and the ones who learned that pain is just a signal that can be muted when there is work to be done. The Neuralis Hegemony signed a total non-aggression pact with humanity within the month. They officially classified humans as Class Omega biohazards. The new Galactic military doctrine regarding Terran infantry was updated with a terrifyingly simple rule. Do not use neural or pain-based weaponry against humans. They possess a chemical override system that converts pain into metabolic energy and aggression. Using an agony beam on a human does not stop them, it merely removes their inhibitions. If you hit a human with a neural weapon, you are not winning the fight. You are simply making them angry. And a human who cannot feel pain is the most dangerous thing in the galaxy. Humanity had proven the ultimate biological HFY truth. Our bodies are designed to survive the impossible. We are the shockproof species. We are the ones who can walk through fire and feel only the heat, not the burn. And if you try to stop us with pain, we will simply use that pain to fuel the fire that destroys you. This has been Apex Sci-Fi. Adrenaline is a hell of a drug. If you enjoyed this victory of human grit and biological override, hit that like button. Comment below, have you ever had an adrenaline rush that made you do something impossible? Subscribe for the next front of the Apex Factor, the oxygen burners. The haze is clearing. The moon is ours.